It is me, Miss Cheka. I don't know who is here with me right now, but we're just going to dive in. We're in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And yesterday we started the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, and today we're going to end the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. And when we left off, the tea party was all nutty because they had a big table with Mad Hatter had given some crazy riddles, like how is a raven like a writing desk? They kept, picking on the little adorable dormouse who just wants to sleep. And now the Mad Hatter is going to introduce a poem. Now we've had a couple of poems and songs that are jokes in this book so far, but they're not super funny to us because we don't know the original one. But this is one where we do know the original song. Okay, so let us jump in. Oh, yeah. And when we left off, they were like always time to clean your room as opposed to like always time to eat ice cream. Okay, so I'm gonna start where it says. So Alice says, I know how to beat time when I learn music. Ah, that accounts for it, said the Hatter. He won't stand beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you liked with the clock. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just trying to begin lessons. You'd only have to whisper a hint to time, and around goes the clock in a twinkling, 1:30, time for dinner. I only wish it was, the March Hare said to itself in a whisper. That would be grand, thoughtfully. Oh, there's Tess. Hi, Tess. But then I shouldn't be hungry for it, Well, not at first, said the Hatter, but you could keep it 1:30 as long as you like. Is that the way you manage? Alice said. The Hatter shook his head mournfully. Not I. And mournfully is a great word. Here it just means sad. We quarreled last March before he went mad, pointing with his teaspoon at the March Hare. And it was at the great concert given by the Queen of Hearts. And I had to sing, Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. You've heard of the song, I suppose. Perhaps. I've heard something like it, said Alice. It goes on, the Hatter continued in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky, twinkle, twinkle. And here the dormouse shook itself and began singing in its sleep, twinkle, 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 and went on so long that they had to pinch it to make. How dreadfully savage, exclaimed Alice. And ever since that, the Hatter went on in a mournful tone. He won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now. So what's the original song? We know the original song, but it does not have bats in it. And when they sang it, the Queen said that they did such a bad job with the time that time got offended. And that's why their time is stuck. Tess, your mom used to play the drums in the band. And she would keep the time for us, but she was pretty good at it. So time never got mad at us. A bright idea came into Alice's head. Is that the reason so many tea things are put out here? She asked. Yes, that's it, said the Hatter with a sigh. It's always tea time, and we've no time to wash things between whiles. Oh, then you keep moving around, I suppose, said Alice. Exactly so, said the Hatter, as the things get used up. But what happens when you come to the beginning again? Alice ventured to ask. Suppose we change the subject, the March Hare interrupted, yawning. I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tell us a story. So we're a little bit like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party because it's never time to like hang out and go with your friends into the store anymore, right? It's just always time to be in our houses. Well, in this case, it's always tea time and it's never time to wash up afterwards. So if you want a new dish, you just move on to the next empty place. But as Alice points out, that's only going to work for a little bit, and then you're just going to get back to the first place. It's going to be dirty dishes. So Alice tells the story. I'm afraid I don't know one, said Alice, rather alarmed at the proposal. Then the Dormouse shall, they both cried. Wake up, Dormouse! And they pinched it on both sides at once. The Dormouse slowly opened its eyes. Oh, I wasn't asleep, it said in a hoarse, feeble voice. I heard every word you fellows were saying. Tell us a story, said the March Hare. Yes, please do, pleaded Alice. And be quick about it, added the Hatter, or you'll be asleep again before it's done. Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters, the Dormouse began in a great hurry, and their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well. What did they live on? Said Alice, who always took a great interest in questions of eating and drinking. Now, I am a teacher, and I can tell you this is true. Kids always want to know what everybody eats, how much they eat, when can they eat. I mean, all y'all think about all the time is like food, food, food. They lived on treacle, said the Dormouse after thinking a minute or two. Now, I can't believe while I'm reading about the tea party is like the one time ever making these videos I don't have like my teacup. But treacle, it's sweet stuff. It's like molasses that you would put into your tea to make it sweeter. So he's saying they eat treacle, pretty ill. Alice tried a little to fancy to herself what such an extraordinary way of living would be like, but it puzzled her too much. So she went on. But why did they live at the bottom of a well? Take some more tea, the March Hare said to Alice very earnestly. Well, I've had nothing yet, Alice replied in an offended tone, so I can't take more. You mean you can't take less, said the Hatter. It's very easy to take more than nothing. Nobody asked your opinion, said Alice. Oh, who's making personal remarks now? The Hatter asked triumphantly. Now, y'all, this is a math joke. They just made a math joke. Because if you have 0, like you have had 0 tea, can you have more tea? But if you've had no tea, you've had 0 tea, can you have less tea? Alice did not quite know what to say to this, so she helped herself to some tea and bread and butter, and then turned to the Dormouse and repeated her question. So, why did they live at the bottom of a well? The Dormouse took a minute or two to think about it, and then said, it was a treacle well. There's no such thing. Alice was beginning very angrily, but the Hatter and the March Hare went, shh, shh. And the Dormouse sulkily remarked, if you can't be civil, you'd better finish the story yourself. No, please go on, Alice said very humbly. I won't interrupt you again. I dare say there may be one. One indeed, said the Dormouse indignantly. However, he consented to go on. And so these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, Well, what did they draw? Said Alice, quite forgetting her promise. Treacle, said the Dormouse without consent. He moved on as he spoke, and the Dormouse followed him. The March Hare took the Dormouse's place, and Alice rather unwillingly took the place of the March Hare. The Hatter was the only one who got any advantage from the change, and Alice was a good deal worse off before, as the March Hare had upset the milk jug into his plate. So, yeah, if you move over into the empty seat, you get like a nice new clean plate. But if you were sitting over here, you just get my old plate. That's what happened to everybody, except for the Mad Hatter. Alice did not wish to offend the Dormouse again, so she began very cautiously. But I don't understand. Where did they draw the treacle from? So here's a little word joke, because you can draw a picture, but if you've got a well, you can also draw water out of the well. Think you could draw treacle out of a treacle well. Stupid. But they were in the well, Alice said to the Dormouse, not choosing to notice this last remark. Of course they were, said the Dormouse. Well in. This answer so confused poor Alice that she let the Dormouse go on for some time without interrupting it. They were learning to draw, the dormouse went on, yawning and rubbing its eyes, for it was getting very sleepy. And they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M. Well, why with an M? Said Alice. Why not? Said the March Hare. Alice was silent. The dormouse had closed its eyes by this time and was going off into a doze but on being pinched by the Hatter, it woke up with a little shriek and went on. That begins with an M, such as mousetraps and the moon and memory and muchness. You know, you say things are much of a muchness. Well, did you ever see such a thing as a drawing of a muchness? Well, really, if you ask me, said Alice, very much confused, I don't think. Then you shouldn't talk, said the Hatter. And neither of the others took the least notice of her going, though she looked back once or twice, half hoping they would call after her. The last time she saw them, they were trying to put the dormouse into the teapot. So I'm going to show you this illustration of them putting their little friend, the dormouse, into the teapot, but you may not do this to your pals. So here we have the Mad Hatter, and here we have the March Hare, and here we've got the dormouse. Mm-hmm. At any rate, I'll never go there again, said Alice as she picked her way through the wood. It's the stupidest tea party I ever was at in all my life. Just as she said this, she noticed that one of the trees had a door leading right into it. That's very curious, she thought. But everything's curious today. I think I may as well go in at once. And in she went. And once more, she found herself in the long hall and close to the little glass table. Now, I'll manage better this time, she said to herself. And she began by taking the little golden key and unlocking the door that led. She walked down the little passage, and then she found herself at last in the beautiful garden among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains. So that is the end of chapter 17. And I think we should start just a little bit of chapter 18. So here is our illustration. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so for this next bit, what would make it easiest for me to explain is if I had a pack of playing cards. But you know what? I am not really big on playing cards. So I'm just going to show you. In a pack of playing cards, you've got different suits. So the cards have like a little different picture on it. So you can have, let's see if I can get this right, because once again, I am not a big card player. This is a terrible marker. Hold up. So the easiest one are the hearts, right? So a heart is just a heart. And in this story, so you got the hearts, and you got a joker, and you got a king, and you got a queen. So in this story, you have the queen of hearts and the king of hearts, and they're like the king and queen of all of these packs of cards. And another one that you can have are the diamonds, which look like that. So you can have the hearts, you can have the diamonds. So in this one, since you got the king and queen of hearts, then that's the royal family. And the diamonds are the courtiers. And courtiers in real life are the very fancy, super duper high level aristocrats that hang out with the king and queen in the royal court. That's why they're called courtiers. And then you have the clubs. It looks like this. Looks like a little clover. I don't know why. That would be a good thing for one of us to look up. But they look like this. And the word club, you can have like a club. There's like a group with your friends. But a club can also be a weapon that you hit somebody with. So in Alice in Wonderland, in the pack of cards, oh, it's the Gallagher's. Hello, hello. In the pack of cards, the clubs are the guards because they're the ones who have the weapons. And then my favorite one is the last one, and they are the spades. And the reason that they're my favorite one, so here we have, you see here, this is a spade. Well, this is my spade. Because if you are a gardener like me, I love to plant vegetables and flowers, and I'm really happy right now because it's springtime. Then you need a little tiny shovel, and your little tiny shovel is called a spade. And I guess if I hold it up like this, you can kind of see how it has a similar shape. And if you look at this picture, see, all the gardeners are spades. So tomorrow, when we start this chapter and we talk about all the people, you know, with the king and queen and the queen of hearts and all the deck of cards, now you're going to know who they are and why Lewis Carroll was making like a little tiny joke. So it was very fun to hang out with you guys today. I like reading the Mad Hatter, but I also really like the next chapter that is all about Alice playing croquet with the Queen of Hearts. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and it was super, super fun to see you. Yay! Bye, guys.